Welcome back. There's an interesting twist to the political crisis in Gabon. While protests erupted last week, creating chaos in the capital, Libreville, the main opposition challenger in the election, career diplomat Jean Ping, reached out to the international community to intervene, saying he was afraid for his life. On Friday, he declared himself president. He already condemned the election results when they were announced. During a news conference, he made the announcement that he was elected president and called for calm. The former diplomat and African Union Commission chairman is a lifelong insider to Gabonese politics. He's even related to Gabon's former president, Omar Bongo. After fathering 2 children with his daughter, Pascaline, he later fell out with Ali Bongo and resigned from his party in 2014. Before the announcement of the final results, he had implored on the Electoral Commission to announce him winner. President Bongo accused him of trying to manipulate the commission. As tension grew in Libreville and police sought his violent supporters, Ping declared himself president.
Tout en réaffirmant ici, à la face du monde,
whilst I reaffirm here and before the world my commitment to do everything to ensure your victory is not stolen from you, I want to say that your anger is understandable. As elected president, I'm naturally very concerned about the situation in the country, which is veering towards general chaos. I'm calling on everyone to make sure the country finds once again the path of peace. I know that peace can only occur if the truth of the ballot box, contrary to what the Interior Minister announced, is restored and respected on the basis of a ballot count, poll station by poll station, as is our wish. I know you will hear me, my compatriots, if and only if this condition is fulfilled, just as the international community demands it too.
Security forces have been deployed throughout the capital city following the electoral violence that erupted. In the chaos, many shops have been looted and many parts of the city look like a battlefield for residents who were locked behind closed doors since Wednesday when the violence began. It started with half an hour of delayed announcement that President Ali Bongo had been re-elected with a narrow majority against his main rival, Jean Ping. Other parts of the country, including the commercial capital Port-Gentil, also erupted in anger. 5 people died in the unrest and over 1,000 people were arrested. Ping said he had won the vote and has called upon the international community to intervene. Television stations, newspaper offices, as well as supermarkets, shops and homes were looted on Wednesday night and throughout Thursday. On Friday, state television released footage of protesters entering the grounds of their offices opposite the National Assembly shortly after the results were announced. You could hear gunfire in the background and see traces of tear gas as protesters marched forward. Then, a brief flash of light inside the National Assembly, followed by the sound of a loud explosion. President Ali Bongo, who on Tuesday said democracy had won the election, walked through the burned-out shell of the Parliament building. Outraged by the sacking of the Parliament, he said it was one of the greatest institutions in the country. He called it the People's House, the House of the Gabonese. While former colonial power France says the electoral law must prevail in the country and that people respect the electoral law and calm the tensions, over 300 protesters took to the streets of Paris on Saturday to protest Ali Bongo's election victory. Supporters of Ping in Paris marched from the Trocadero to Gabon's embassy, carrying banners and posters calling for Bongo to step down. France has had a military base in Gabon since independence in 1960, and 450 troops are stationed there, according to the French Defense Ministry. Meanwhile, the United States says it deplores the violence in the country and urges all sides to cooperate to prevent further unrest. Ambassador Aki Fayomi joins me now for more on this. Ambassador, thank you for making time to be with us on the program. How badly do you reckon the political situation in Gabon has deteriorated?
Indeed, it has become very worrisome. The past few days, there's been a lot of post-election violence in Libreville and other areas of Gabon, to the extent that 5 people have been killed. about 1,000 protesters arrested, headquarters of the opposition party bombed, parliament set on fire, heavy security on the streets. People are not able to go out on their means of livelihood. It has gotten to that extent that the international community has had to wade in, calling for calm on both parties, and also trying to exercise some restraints. When I say international community, the UN, the AU, the EU, the United States, France, the former colonial master, they've all been worried as we are here.
Mr. Jinping has declared himself president despite the announcement by the Electoral Commission saying that President Ali Bongo won. We know this complicates the situation, but what do you make of his political future hereon?
In fact, Mr. Jinping declaring himself president even before the votes were counted actually wasn't the situation. And he wanted to, of course, to preempt electoral malpractices by Mr. Bongo and his party, but it's more or less caused more tension, and this it was brought to his attention. As you know very well, Mr. Jinping is also part of the old guard in Gabon. He's been foreign minister with former President Omar Bongo. He's been coupled with his family and all that. So it's not really a change of baton in the sense of that. But as for his political future, he still has a way to go, because he has decided to go to the Constitutional Court with the electoral laws prescribe.
Do you think there should be intervention now in Gabon?
Well, they can intervene now, but the type of intervention is what we have to look into. We are not talking of putting soldiers on the ground or things like that, but they can intervene morally, and which they have done. The UN has come out in a statement by the UN Secretary General to call for calm, that the two parties should exercise restraint. The EU even went further to say that they should recount the votes polling station by polling station, instead of giving this omnibus results, which nobody can really verify. But if it goes vote by vote, so those are interventions in order to douse the tension in Gabon. And if the two parties, particularly President Bongo, can accede to some of these requests.
Ambassador, President Bongo is calling for calm, but it seems like he's losing grip over Gabon.
Well, for the first time, there was a credible opposition leader in the person of Mr. Ping. Normally, it's always fractured. You have about 30 people trying to do elections against the incumbent president in Gabon. But this time around, yes, indeed, it predated the election. You recall that some months ago during the campaign, in a way to appease the people, he was saying that part of the money or the properties and all that his father amazed that they were going to give it out to the poor of Gabon. This is a way of trying to appease the populace, the electorate. But at the same time, it shows that he doesn't have that capacity which his father displayed. President, this all doesn't go his way. We can be sure that in the next election, another 5 years or so, Gabon will have pulled its acts or getting its acts together to give Mr. Bongo, who is only 59, I'm sure he's going to contest again. They are going to give him a big run for his money. So indeed, it's becoming more democratic as the day goes by in Gabon.
Finally, looking at other precedents of elections on the continent, what should be done to prevent this from further escalating?
The situation in Gabon, yes, that's why I earlier said that the intervention of the international community will come to play a lot, particularly France, which has a military base in Gabon. They've decided not to intervene now or to interfere, but they've just spoken. And I think that speaking, sometimes carries some weight, because it's like a warning, because they have the wherewithal to really come in physically. They did that in Cote d'Ivoire in 2011, which we saw during Gbagbo and the current president here, Ouattara. So we don't want it to go to that extent where there will be so much violence. But intervention can be done to solve the problem. But first of all, it's early days.
When we come back on the program, the updates from Syria. Do stay with us.